Today's webinar is titled Fannie Mae's Green Initiative, Innovative Multifamily Financing Options. Build a Green is presenting this webinar on behalf of the Energy Network, which is a local government organization created by the CPUC that provides resources and assistance to homeowners, businesses, and public agencies planning energy efficiency upgrades serving the Southern California region. These services include community education and outreach, such as these webinars, rebate and incentive offerings, which we'll talk about a little bit more today, attractive financing terms, and tools to help identify contractors that have been trained in energy efficiency. Additional resources help homeowners take the next steps towards saving energy. The Energy Network has a great program for multifamily property owners, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that towards the end of the webinar. Today's topic is a deeper look into Fannie Mae's Green Initiative, focusing on innovative financing options for multifamily buildings. The Fannie Mae Multifamily Green Initiative provides mortgage financing to apartment buildings and cooperatives to finance energy and water efficient property improvements. This webinar will focus on financing solutions available through the Fannie Mae to enable property owners to make strategic green property improvements as well as rewards available for green building certifications. Participants should be involved in or familiar with property level mortgage financing. Our presenter today is Karen Spur. She's a program manager for Fannie Mae's Multifamily Green Initiative, and in that capacity, she focuses on developing and implementing financing products that increase the sustainability of the country's multifamily housing stock and creating analytical tools to assess the impact of green financing. Her previous experience includes 5 years in commercial real estate loan underwriting and business development at MMA Realty Capital, and 8 years in environmental consulting, where she specialized in solid waste management and pollution prevention. We're so lucky to have Karen with us this morning, so please join me in welcoming Karen.
I'm so sorry, I've been talking on mute. Hi, thank you so much, Layla. I really appreciate that. I'm very excited to be here today, and I'm always excited to share the news about Fannie Mae's Green Initiative with anyone who's willing to listen. So thank you all for attending. So hold on just a moment. There we go. I'm going to start with the objective of this presentation, moving Fannie Mae and the financing life cycle, which is an overview of how Fannie Mae multifamily works, and then we'll talk about green financing and how green financing fits into the normal Fannie Mae financing process. So our objective today is to share with you the Fannie Mae financing cycle and our green financing products so we can create a virtuous cycle of affordable, environmentally and financially sustainable properties. Now, I'm going to talk about this graphic a little bit more later, but a few people have raised their eyebrows at the phrase virtuous cycle when we've used it in the past. You've heard of a vicious cycle, something that reinforces itself in a bad way. Virtuous cycle is the opposite. It reinforces itself in a positive way, and that is what the Green Initiative is attempting to do, and what specifically green certified properties help us do. So I'll get back to this graphic towards the end of our presentation. So Fannie Mae, most people associate us with single family, but Fannie Mae also has a sizable multifamily business that is targeted towards multifamily properties, which are defined as apartments, rentals, and co-ops with 5 or more units. So a duplex, while it may technically have 2 families, is not considered multifamily for this. It's 5 or more units at the property. The company's goal is to provide liquidity, stability, and affordability to the secondary mortgage market, and I'll get back to secondary mortgage market in about 2 slides. Our portfolio, the multifamily portfolio specifically, has over $200 billion worth of assets, and we have everything from market rate to affordable subsidized, affordable by area median income properties, small loans, large loans. We cover the whole market. And approximately 20% of all the multifamily mortgage debt in the country was held by Fannie Mae as of year-end 2014. And we've been in this business for 25 years, so we are a market mover when it comes to multifamily. So I just want to talk about the basics of how our multifamily business works, because it is a little different from single family. So we serve property owners with financing solutions that are designed to meet business needs, not individual homeowner needs. Unlike single family, we use a delegated business model with specific lenders to provide this financing, and it's called the Delegated Underwriting and Servicing Model. So we call it the DUS model, and you'll hear people refer to DUS lenders, like in the next line. The DUS lenders is a group of, at the moment, I believe 25 lenders who we have worked with and have agreements with that essentially they understand our underwriting standards, and if they underwrite to those standards, or work with us if there's any variation from those standards, then Fannie Mae will securitize the loan. So the example of everyone who's involved in this chain, we've got a tenant, such as you or me, living in a rental building. An owner of the building, that's the landlord. UDR, for example, is a big multifamily owner. A lender, this would be a DUS lender, called Wells Fargo is one of them. The secondary lender would be Fannie Mae, and then we securitize these loans, so there's an MBS investor that's buying our mortgage-backed securities, that's MBS, such as AFL-CIO, pension funds, other finance companies, fixed income companies. They're all investors in these securities. So we are basically delivering these mortgage loans to the investor market as mortgage-backed securities. So I want to talk a little bit about securitization and liquidity, because we keep using the phrase Fannie Mae provides liquidity to the secondary mortgage market. And I think if you're not working at Fannie Mae practically or deep in this market, that's not necessarily an intuitive statement. So what liquidity means, it's defined as a liquid asset, something that can easily be bought or sold. What that means, practically speaking, is that the asset can be bought and sold in the market without having scarcity or size affecting its ability to be sold. For instance, the Empire State Building, if that was one, well, it is one building, if that was one asset and somebody was looking to buy it, you would be looking for somebody to come up with, you know, I'm not sure what the latest sale price on that was, but let's just say $500 million. When an asset is securitized, though, people can buy smaller pieces of that investment, and it allows the money to flow back through in a liquid way. So this graph down here describes it. The borrower is getting money from the lender and is making a mortgage loan in exchange. The lender is getting money from Fannie Mae Multifamily here and is passing that mortgage along. The MBS investors, Fannie Mae is securitizing that as an MBS, and the investors are giving money to Fannie Mae in exchange for that security. And this is a bond security, so they are getting revenues from that bond, and they will eventually sell that bond as an asset, or it will pay off. So when we talk about liquidity, if we ignored this half, the right half of this graph, and said it was just the lender and the borrower, say the lender has $100 million to lend, any amount to lend. They make a bunch of loans, and then they're out of money. They can't lend anymore. Fannie Mae keeps this whole chain of money moving, so the lenders can keep lending, borrowers can keep borrowing, investors can keep investing, and we're the middle point in all that keeps it all flowing. So it is the securitization of this mortgage as an MBS that keeps the whole process moving, and that's why we are called the secondary market. We're not the ones making the loans, we are the ones securitizing them to keep the money moving and keep liquidity in the market. So this chart shows the basics of our financing cycle, and I'm going to talk about each one in turn. So let's start with, oh, I'm sorry, I want to back up for one thing here. I want to make sure everyone's clear on the fact that Fannie Mae is not directly making these loans. The lenders are making the loans. Fannie Mae does not. So we are not in the position, people can't come to us for a loan if they need to go through a DUS lender, and that gets important in a moment. So the first stage is our loan sourcing. The borrower and the lender work together. Borrower will come to a lender requesting financing. The lender will collaborate with Fannie Mae to assess the property, the borrower, the capital needs, figure out how much debt this property can support, how much debt the borrower can support. And that is our sourcing process to determine whether or not this is a feasible loan. Once it seems like it is, it moves on to underwriting. And the underwriting portion is where we are assessing the risk of the loan to appropriately price the loan. And our pricing is balancing risk versus reward. It is appropriate to how much leverage the property has, the condition of the property, the market that the property is in. Is there a lot of demand for rentals in that market? Is there very little demand? We also look at the financial metrics such as the loan to value, which is the ratio of how much the loan is compared to the value of the property. So lower is better, lower is more conservative. And the DSCR, which is the debt service coverage ratio, which is a measure of the operating income from the property versus how much debt service the loan would provide. And generally we want that to be above 1.25. We order third-party reports, an appraisal, a property condition assessment. If it's a green loan, it will have this HPB module, which is a high-performance building module. And this takes anywhere from 30 to 90 days to complete that process and make sure everyone is satisfied that they understand what's happening with this product and that it's priced appropriately. Once the loan has closed and been delivered, there's securitization. And securitization is the process of creating a mortgage-backed security out of this asset, which is the loan. We disclose all the data about the loan, the number of units, the location, the loan to value, the debt service coverage. And if it is a green loan, we will indicate whether or not it has green financing or a green building certification. This generally happens the month after the loan closes, but it could be up to a year later depending on the specifics of the asset. And then once that's happened, the MBS is done, an investor has bought it, it's maintenance, it's asset management. So during the life of the loan, so our average loan is a 10-year loan, Fannie Mae and the lender monitor the loan performance, the risk. We get quarterly and annual operating statements, and there are periodic property inspections to make sure there are no life and safety issues, and also to make sure that the owner of the property is maintaining it as they should be. And that happens throughout the life of the loan, all the way from the time we make the loan up until the day it closes. We're doing asset management. So a multifamily property owner, this box at the bottom highlights that it is a different proposition from single-family homeowners. Most single-family homeowners want to pay off their mortgage. They may refinance for various reasons, such as a better rate or making home improvements, take some cash out, but multifamily property owners are generally businesses, large or small, that are looking to keep financing on their properties throughout their ownership of the properties, and their goal is to have the best financing possible, so the lowest rate, the largest amount throughout the life of their ownership of the property. So let's get to the interesting part, in my opinion, which is the green financing. So why are we doing green? What's green doing for our borrowers and lenders? It is the triple bottom line. We're focusing on higher cash flows for our borrowers, the property owners, and better quality assets backing our MBS, which benefits everyone. It benefits the investor, it benefits the tenants living at the property because they're in a higher quality asset with newer appliances and lower utility bills. It benefits our lenders and Fannie Mae because we have a higher quality asset backing our loan. So we focus on energy and water efficiency, solar and combined heat power systems, green building certifications. These are the things that we are looking for in our green program. As for the improvements that are targeted, heating fuel saving measures, electricity fuel saving measures, water saving measures, there's obviously a lot more other than the items listed on this graphic that folks could do, but we are interested in any measure that can be implemented in a multifamily property that will save energy and water usage and ultimately save the property owner money of their utility bills. Studies have shown that the average multifamily property can save between 10 and 30% on their energy and water costs, and that's significant money when you're talking about a multifamily property that's being run as a business. So our green financing. This is a document which I would be happy to distribute along with the PDF that Layla sends out. This is just one of we call it the Go Green flowchart, because we divide our green business into two different tracks. The left-hand side, in the pale green here, is the Green Building Certified track. If your property is Green Building Certified, and that includes all of these certifications, then we offer a 10 basis point lower interest rate. It is called the Green Building Certification Pricing Break, which is what you would ask a DUS lender for, and it'll get disclosed as Green MBS. This track is easy. There's no other word for it. If you have a green building certification that is valid by the program's eligibility rules, so if the program says you don't need to recertify, then it's valid. If they say you do need to recertify and you're outside of that window, then it wouldn't be. Most programs don't seem to require recertification. So if you have an eligible, current, valid green building certification, you are automatically guaranteed 10 basis points off of our basic pricing. Now, 10 basis points might be a little hard to translate into real numbers. So I can tell you that on a $10 million 10-year loan, that translates, if you go from a 4% rate to a 3.9% rate, that's almost $100,000 worth of interest that you're saving over 10 years. So this really adds up. The other side, the bluish side, is for folks who do not, well, they might have a green building certification also, but it's folks who are looking to make energy and water saving upgrades. So older properties that are already existing, maybe maybe they need insulation, new Energy Star fixtures, leaky windows, irrigation systems, lighting upgrades, any of these green upgrades we talked about on the previous slide. And it's not just this list here, this is just an example list. You might be eligible for one of our green loans, which are called Green Rewards and Green Preservation Plus. Green Preservation Plus is for affordable housing only. What you get with those loans is the same 10 basis point interest rate break that you get with the green building certification, but you also will get additional loan proceeds to make those energy and water saving property improvements. So you may have a property that is in need of some upgrades, but you're looking for financing for those upgrades. That money's got to come from somewhere. So these two loans, Green Rewards and Green Preservation Plus, can get you the extra loan proceeds that you need to go ahead and make those repairs. So just to review our green loan benefits, all of our green loans get the 10 basis point pricing break. Green Rewards and Green Preservation Plus, you'll get up to 5% additional loan proceeds to finance those energy and water efficiency improvements, and you will get a reduced energy and water expenses, which will boost the property NOI. Of course, that is dependent on who is paying some of the bills, to what degree that happens. Owner savings versus tenant savings will make a difference here. All three of these get securitized as a green MBS, which signals sustainability to the MBS investors. So I'm just going to talk about each of these green loans very briefly and just describe how they work. The Green Building Certification pricing break really is as simple as I've described it. If the property has it, it doesn't matter what type of loan they're getting, what type of interest rate, size, conventional, affordable, first lien, or supplemental loan, they are all eligible for this 10 basis point pricing break. And it is as simple as that. You do need to produce the certification, the evidence of the certification, by the time the loan is committed, but that is it. So this was our first property that closed with the Green Building Certification pricing break, and the pricing break was announced in February, and this loan closed 2 months later in April, and it's called the Station House in Maplewood, New Jersey. It was a LEED certified 50-unit property as a $10.175 million loan, and the pricing break means that the borrower is saving $101,000 in interest over the life of that 10-year loan. Green Rewards is our newest product, which was just announced a couple of months ago. And this is intended to be a highly flexible loan feature that can be used with almost any Fannie Mae loan, conventional or affordable, first lien supplemental, and even a second supplemental. Almost any type of property, including co-ops, seniors, military, and student. And there's no restrictions on interest rate type, loan term, or loan size. The only properties that are not eligible are manufactured housing properties. The way Green Rewards gets that extra loan proceeds to the borrower is that we allow the lender to underwrite up to 50% of the projected savings that result from the energy and water efficiency retrofits. So to put that in English, the property owner will say, I want to do these upgrades and it's projected to save this amount of money. And I'm going to illustrate this on the next slide. We will underwrite up to half of the projected cost savings. The properties must be able to project a minimum of 20% annual savings in energy or water use to qualify for this program. So you don't qualify for the lower interest rate by just replacing, putting some aerators on the faucets. This actually needs to be a real significant reduction in energy and or water use to qualify. So here's an example of how this works. Same loan without Green Rewards, same property valuation. Green Rewards doesn't change that. But the utility costs, this is an example where they've got $42,000 of savings. So your utility costs are going from $140,000 down to $98,000. That impacts your net operating income because Green Rewards adds 50% of the projected $42,000 savings, that's $21,000, to the net operating income, bringing it from $805,000 to $826,000. And that results in a higher loan amount, in this example, of $260,000 extra loan proceeds. The interest rate would be dropped, for example, from 5 to 4 because you get the pricing break, which means your annual debt service and your debt service coverage are actually fairly similar between the two examples. You still have a 1.25 debt service coverage, and you get $260,000 more loan proceeds. Now, the difference between the owner and the tenant savings is that in the case where some of the savings are being realized by the tenant, so if it's a master metered property, you would have this situation where 50% of the projected savings are applied to your net operating income. If it's not master metered and the tenants are paying a portion of the utilities and will realize a portion of the savings, we allow the tenant savings that are underwritten to be up to 25% of the total savings. And we do have a How It Works document that runs through the numbers on this. If you're interested, I'd be happy to share that. Green Preservation Plus has the same idea as Green Rewards, but functions a little bit differently. It is specifically for multifamily affordable housing properties. So that's not, yes, it is affordable, it's specifically an affordable housing project. The minimum loan term is 10 years, and there's no interest only permitted. So this is a more restrictive program than Green Rewards. Part of that is because it's a partnership between Fannie Mae and HUD. So there's a credit enhancement structure in place and some risk sharing. So HUD requirements are what leads to this minimum 10-year loan term and no interest only. It also provides the additional loan proceeds in a slightly different way than Green Rewards does. Rather than underwriting projected cost savings, it uses different credit metrics than a traditional loan. So the maximum LTV, the loan to value, instead of 80%, it can go up to 85%. The minimum debt service coverage ratio, instead of 1.2, which is normal for affordable housing properties, it can be a 1.15. So that extra room in these credit metrics will get the up to 5% additional loan proceeds. And here's an example of one of the Green Preservation Plus properties. It was City Gardens in Santa Ana, California, owned by Link Housing, 274-unit complex. And Fannie Mae and Enterprise Community Investment did a $19 million loan, which included $1.5 million for property improvements and repairs. Not all of the property improvements and repairs that they made were green, but the green improvements included a passive solar hot water system, replacing the gas-fired furnaces, low-flow plumbing fixtures, energy-efficient lighting, and implementing a recycling program. Green Preservation Plus is also different from Green Rewards in that there is not a threshold that you have to meet in terms of projected savings. In this case, it's that a minimum of 5% of the loan amount must be spent on green property upgrades, on energy and water saving upgrades. So one of the requirements for some of the requirements for each of these types of loans, both Green Rewards and Green Preservation Plus loans require a physical condition assessment, which all of our loans require, but you must add for the green loans a high performance building module, which includes an ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit. This will identify all of the potential energy and water savings opportunities, what their estimated cost is, and how much they are projected to save. For both loan types, all additional retrofit proceeds will be escrowed until completion of the retrofits, so that $260,000 we saw in the Green Rewards example, that would go into an escrow account and be released when those repairs are completed. The retrofits must be completed within 12 months of closing, although for an extremely large project, we would have some flexibility on that. And the borrowers must report annual energy and water metrics using Energy Star Portfolio Manager, and that's every year for the life of the loan. Our green MBS, and this is where we're coming to the virtuous cycle again, we're coming back around. We are working to create a green MBS market. There's a large audience of socially responsible investors. They're called SRI investors that are looking specifically for sustainable investments, either environmental technologies or energy and water saving investments. They have a mission to invest only in sustainable investments. Up till now, mortgage-backed securities have really not attracted the attention of this market because there have been so few of them. But with the Green Initiative, our goal is to get the attention of those investors and bring in that capital source so we can keep this liquidity chain going and direct even more funds to these green properties. So we identify green loans and green properties in our MBS disclosures to these investors with either a green financing indicator showing it's Green Preservation Plus or Green Rewards, or the Green Building Certification indicator indicating what green building certification the property has. And that brings us back to the virtuous cycle, which is where I'm going to close. The idea of the virtuous cycle is that you have green building certified properties. Green building certified properties want green financing. MBS investors want green MBS. The more demand there is for green MBS, the more demand there will be for green certified properties, and that keeps the cycle moving and keeps the liquidity in the market. So we do have a mission-driven reason to be supporting green financing, but there is a larger picture, which is that it supports the entire green investing cycle. It attracts more capital to residential, to multifamily residential. It encourages folks to get their properties certified, and it encourages people to ask for green financing, and it encourages the investors to look for these green assets. So this is the goal of the Green Initiative on the large scale. And here's my contact information, which will be in the slide deck that gets sent out. So I'm going to rest on this graphic, and Layla, we can move to questions now if people have them.
Great, thank you, Karen. That was really informative. I was taking a lot of notes during that webinar. So a quick question is that you mentioned high performance building modules when you were talking about the preservation green loan. Would you be able to explain that a little bit more, since you said it was required during the property assessment?
Absolutely. So the high performance building module is, let me back up for a second. The property condition assessment is required for all Fannie Mae multifamily loans, and that's where an engineer goes to the property and looks at everything, their roof, their pavement, their decks, their fixtures, everything, and determines what needs immediate repairs and what kind of replacement and repair reserves the property should have, so we can underwrite how much money they're going to need to set aside for basic repairs and major repairs over the life of the loan. The high performance building module is something that Fannie Mae created, and basically an energy and water audit. It can be done by the same vendor as the vendor that's doing the property condition assessment. There's quite a few of them that have both capabilities. And that goes to the property and looks at all the energy and water usage and identifies potential energy and water savings opportunities. So this is where the ASHRAE Level 2 energy audit comes in, and the water audit. And we've essentially established our own protocol with tables on how these numbers need to be reported. And that is available on the Fannie Mae website. I would be happy to send a link, Layla, so you can send that out to people if they're interested in looking at this. So what's going to be in the high performance building module is a detailed breakout of how energy and water is being used at the property, what opportunities there are to save energy and water, what those opportunities will cost to implement, and how much they'll save, as well as who is saving it, whether it's the tenants or the owner. So in the case of actually either, let's use green rewards as an example. For a green rewards loan, let's say the property owner gets the HPB module, the lender would order that, and the HPB module lists 10 opportunities to save energy or water. The owner says, I'm interested in doing numbers 1, 2, 4, and 7 on this list. So maybe they're replacing lighting and doing insulation and upgrading the boiler and replacing HVAC units. That's off the top of my head. Or it could be a lot of little things also. So they do want to do numbers 1, 2, 4, and 7 off the list. As long as the projected energy savings from 1, 2, 4, and 7 total a minimum of 20% of the total use of the property, they're good to go with green rewards. So they elect to do numbers 1, 2, 4, and 7. The amount that is added to the underwriting of the NOI will also come from the high performance building module from those tables. So we'll take the projected savings for 1, 2, 4, and 7 and include that in our underwriting. Does that answer your question?
I believe so.
Okay.
We had another question come in. I believe, it's in regards to the green rewards, because you mentioned that senior housing was applicable. What types of senior housing is applicable is the question.
Any type of senior housing that is eligible for a Fannie Mae loan. So it could be independent living, assisted living, Alzheimer's, age-restricted properties, which are not considered senior housing. They're multifamily, but those are also eligible. Is there a specific type that someone wants to ask about?
That's a good question. So far they haven't followed up, but we'll definitely leave that as an option if they would like to follow up. Oh, it said assisted living. So yes, assisted living is a type of house.
Yep, absolutely. Assisted living is eligible. And seniors housing is actually one of the places we'd really like to focus on green rewards because frequently those properties are master metered. So the reason that matters, I mean, energy savings is energy savings, so we are encouraging all of it, but owners are more likely to make these property improvements and retrofits when it adds to their bottom line. So for a master metered property, like a lot of seniors housing properties, this is a great deal for them.
Great. And then someone just had a question on the Green Preservation Plus. So are non-energy improvement repairs funded by the loan?
You can make non-energy improvement repairs. The only requirement is that a minimum of 5% of the total loan amount must be for green repairs. So if I, hold on just a moment, let me go back up to so for City Gardens here, for example, the loan was $19 million. 5% of that is around $1 million. So the minimum on this loan that needed to be spent was around $1 million on green repairs. They spent $1.5 million because it included a bunch of non-green repairs as well. So you absolutely can make other repairs, and hopefully the structure of this loan type will allow some funding for that as well.
Okay, great. And so it doesn't look like we have any other current questions, but what I'm going to do, Karen, is I'm going to switch presenters back to myself and do a quick little follow-up on some information that I said I was going to give out. And then if anyone does have questions that are coming up to you, please submit them because we do have our expert on the line, so it would be great to utilize that opportunity. Just
Absolutely.
As a reminder, if you have any questions, perfect. Use the questions pane. You'll expand that. You'll type out your question, and then you'll send it privately to myself, and I'll be able to ask Karen. Definitely take advantage of this time, guys, as we have our expert on the line. For multifamily property owners and managers, like some of you in the audience, the Energy Network Multifamily Program is a fantastic resource as it provides significant rebates and technical assistance to help you complete energy and water upgrades to your buildings, much like what Karen detailed in various of the loans. This program offers rebates for energy and water upgrades up to $1,200 per unit, including windows, lighting, HVAC, appliances, water fixtures, and much, much more. Benefits of these improvements are lowering your operating costs, increasing your property value, improving tenant retention, because when you make a tenant happy, they will stay longer. More information can be found at theenergynetwork.com or by calling us at 949-264-2062. In addition, this webinar series is being co-sponsored by Greenpoint Rated, the leading green home certification system in California, with more than 31,000 homes certified, including multifamily properties. Greenpoint Rated is a simple, affordable, and flexible rating system used by countless builders and developers. It assures residents that a building is healthier, more comfortable, durable, and resource efficient. The Greenpoint Rated team is comprised of leading green building experts, and they help put together this webinar series and set the agenda for which sustainability topics are most relevant to multifamily developers and managers like you. By visiting buildagreen.org/greenpointrated, you will find a multifamily checklist to see what kinds of upgrades are factored in a Greenpoint Rated certification. Also, there are always educational events and opportunities such as workshops, webinars, and trainings for you to learn more about energy and resource efficient upgrades. A training that we have currently coming up in the LA area is our Certified Green Building Professional training. We have two different trainings located in Downey and San Diego, one in September and one in October. If you'd like more information on that and to register for the training, visit us at buildagreen.org/training-events. One last time, if you have any additional questions that have come up since the last couple minutes that Karen ended his presentation, this would be the perfect time to ask us now. It looks like, Karen, we just have a lot of thank yous and great presentations coming in, but no other additional questions.
Okay, well, my contact information will be in the presentation. If anybody would like to reach out to us, I'd be quite happy to answer any questions.
Yes, definitely. And we'll send out that information as well in the follow-up email in case anyone does want to get in contact with you. And we'll be definitely reaching out and getting all the PDFs and additional information that you'd like to hand out to our audience members, because I know a lot of them are saying that this is really good information. Lastly, I'd like to just give out the information for David Myers and Jonathan Austin, who are currently assisting with our Energy Network Multifamily Program. David Myers is a Southern California Regional Director, and Jonathan Austin is our Multifamily Sales and Outreach Program Manager. So if you have any questions regarding the Energy Network Multifamily Program specifically and any information I've given out about that, you can definitely reach out to them by email or by phone, and they'll be able to answer any of your questions. Lastly, I would just like to thank Karen one last time for joining us today and for offering her expertise on such an interesting topic. I know that others have found this very interesting as well. And thank you, Karen, for your time and your information.
Thanks, Layla. It was my pleasure.
And everyone else in the audience, we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us today.